On this channel, we've covered a multitude of urban legends ranging from the Mothman, Black-Eyed Children, the Jersey Devil, Japanese urban legends, and even Mexican witches. So, we thought it might be of interest to you, as the audience, to hear some more frightening urban legends, but this time with a Korean twist to it. Fair warning, some of these legends can be quite graphic and disturbing in nature. There is a popular urban legend that has been passed down through multiple generations about a girl and sesame seeds. The story starts with a young girl, like many people her age, was suffering from low self-esteem issues, especially about her skin. She wanted to keep it looking young and beautiful for as long as she could. She would try anything to keep her skin flawless, and that was her exact downfall. One day while at school, a friend of hers informed her about a new, organic skin treatment. The girl told her the way to achieve immaculate skin was with two simple steps. First, the girl had to obtain sesame seeds and place an abundance of them inside a bathtub. The second and last step had the young woman sitting and soaking in the bathwater for hours and hours. The girl did exactly what her friend had told her to do, but she didn't get the result she had hoped for. Hours upon hours passed, and the girl still hadn't come out of the bathroom. So much time passed that even her parents began to take notice. Her mother even went to the trouble of knocking on the door and asking if she was okay. But the only response she received was, "Wait a minute, wait a minute." This went on for a few more hours until the parents could no longer wait and kicked down the door. What they saw was so chilling, it was almost indescribable. There she was, their daughter, sitting naked and wet in the corner of the bathroom, covered in black dots. She had a crazed look in her eyes, and as the parents examined her more, they could see that the sesame seeds had somehow sunk into her pores. This sent the girl into a frenzy as she began stabbing herself with a toothpick over and over again, trying to remove each and every sesame seed from her once beautiful skin. With a name like the Virgin Ghost, this Korean urban legend is bound to be odd. But surprisingly, this one is one of the more normal entries on this list. Virgin ghosts are said to be found in older, abandoned buildings and in isolated parts of the forest. They have long, dark hair covering their faces, dressed in all white gowns with no shoes and just a pair of perfectly white, clean socks. The virgin ghosts have also been called chonogwishin. When encountering one of these entities, it's been said that there will be a drastic change in temperature in the room, giving the potential victim fair warning to leave the area immediately. One urban legend tells of a man who was searching through a building when, suddenly, the room became freezing cold. The man kept on his pursuit until he heard a voice. Not just any voice, but the voice of a virgin ghost. The being then instructed him to close his eyes and count to 100. The man did as he was told until he reached the number 49, when the urge to open his eyes overcame him, and he looked directly at the ghost. That was the last thing the man would ever see. Here is a bit of backstory on where this urban legend came from. Though there are some debates on the true origins, most point to old Korean culture as the culprit of this story. See, back in those days, for a woman to die as a virgin meant she died without a partner and did not produce any offspring. So parents came up with a way to ensure their children would grow up and have families by creating this elaborate legend. Children grew up hearing that if they did not lose their virginity by the time they died, they may too become a virgin ghost forever haunting the living. It's very peculiar when you think about it. In our society, it isn't typical for parents to encourage their daughters to lose their virginity. This next Korean urban legend, titled The Right Eye, is a creepy, yet devastating story. A story that was so interesting, it even inspired a movie called The Eye, and the movie did very well. So well that it even had 2 sequels called The Eye 2 and The Eye 10. They even remade the movie for American audiences called, once again, The Eye. It even starred famous actress and model Jessica Alba. The movie also generated around $57 million, which isn't too bad on a budget of just $12 million. But sadly, the movie was panned with terrible critic and audience reviews. Though the movie might be based off the story, it differs heavily from the original urban legend. The legend goes as the following. Somewhere in South Korea lived a woman who sadly was completely blind in her right eye for the entirety of her life. That was until she contacted a doctor who was willing to do a controversial cornea transplant. On paper, the surgery was a success. The woman could finally see from both eyes. But that's when trouble began for the poor girl. A short while after the surgery, the girl's behavior radically changed. She slowly but surely became more and more isolated from those close to her. It even got to the point where she didn't even bother to show up on time for work. She then stopped going to work altogether, even ignoring those closest to her, such as her friends and family. Her parents became quickly concerned and tried going to her door, but there was no answer. After more attempts of trying to contact her, they decided to call the police. When the officers arrived, they kicked down the door, only to discover a horrifyingly gruesome sight. There, on the floor, lying in a pool of her own blood, was the girl with a wrist slit and her right eye carved out. She was by that time long dead. As police searched the house, they discovered that all the mirrors had been smashed. As they continued their search, they stumbled upon a journal. Inside, written on every single page, was a single phrase written over and over again. My right eye is staring at me. 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 Mr. Cuckoo is one of the most frightening entries to this list, and to Korean urban legends as a whole. There was once a man named Mr. Cuckoo, who, by all definitions, was insane. He was so mentally disturbed that he was sent off to a horrific mental asylum. His stay there was nothing short of agonizing. During the duration of his time at the mental institute, he was beaten and harassed by another female patient. The beatings became so horrible that he not only hated her, but hated any and all women for simply existing. After years and years of his torment, the man finally escaped. Police were never able to catch Mr. Cuckoo, and that's where our story really begins. Soon after his escape, reports around Korea came flooding in about a man attacking high school girls with an axe, though police could never seem to catch the mysterious assailant. Legend says that Mr. Cuckoo would wait in alleyways for his female victims. Whenever a woman walked by, the man would jump out, swinging his axe, screaming, "Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo," over and over again. The man supposedly just injured his female victims for the most part, but in some cases, the girls were ruthlessly murdered. He even once attacked a group of 20 schoolgirls, hitting as many of them as he could as they all fled for their lives. The girls claimed that they could hear the man screaming his infamous name and catchphrase over and over again. Some claim that if you do happen to run into Mr. Cuckoo, there are a few ways you can possibly live. If the man happens to just scream out, "Cuckoo, cuckoo," then your response should also be, "Cuckoo, cuckoo." This should make the man stand still long enough for you to run for your life. Remember, he won't stand still for long. He will sometimes ask you ridiculous questions such as, "Do you know Mr. Cuckoo?" Whatever, and I mean whatever he asks you, just say yes. This again should stall the man and give you enough time to flee. So, next time you're walking down a dark alleyway, be on the lookout for Mr. Cuckoo. You never know when he could step out of any corner. This next urban legend is one that is so infamous, it has been adapted into other countries' urban legends, so this one may already sound familiar to you. The story of the woman in the surgical mask is one of the most sinister on this list of Korean urban legends. Years and years ago, there was a woman who was so incredibly beautiful, but she was extremely vain and self-centered. Her husband was an abusive, jealous man who became convinced she was cheating on him. One day, after arriving at home, her husband began to beat her, eventually grabbing a sword and slicing her mouth from ear to ear while saying, "Who will think you're beautiful now?" Sadly, she died from blood loss. After that, she became an enraged spirit who walks the earth wearing a surgical mask to cover up her face. If you so happen to be wandering the streets of Korea and the ghost of Kuchisaki approaches you, you must do the following. She will ask you in a hushed voice, "Am I beautiful?" No matter what, you will not be quick enough to respond, and she will tear off a mask screaming, "Am I beautiful now?" After revealing her terrifying face, if you happen to say no, she will kill you by decapitation. And if you say yes, she will slice you ear to ear just like her. The only true way to escape is by saying, "You look normal to me." It might confuse her, giving you some time to run away. Sightings of the horrid apparition go as far back as the 1970s. The earliest tales of the woman are of her hunting down children in the streets. The rumors of this ghost spread so much, it caused the police in the local area to set out on patrol for any suspicious activity. Even teachers began walking children home from school to ensure their safety. After some time, the stories seemed to die out. That was until 2004, when stories of a woman wearing a surgical mask and chasing children began to surface. Then, in 2007, some shocking evidence came out after a doctor looked at an old dead body of a woman who was killed by a car after chasing some children in the middle of the street in the 1970s. What makes this so chilling is the fact that the woman's mouth was ripped from ear to ear. Now, if you so happen to ever come in contact with her, remember what to say and remember what to do. When the chance comes, run. Run as fast as you can, unless you want to end up just like her.